Welcome to this latest episode of the National Leadiology Association. We are continuing with Elevating Standards, the Leadership Blueprint, based on Bill Walsh's 6 guidelines for establishing your standards of performance. Today is our last episode in this segment. So we're going to bring it. I am your host, Dr. Amin Sanaia, leadiologist, thought leader, and author. As usual, the man of the hour, my tag team partner, Tanner Thorp.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Tanner Thorp, human being, thought leader, culture warrior, public speaker. I love what we're talking about today, the culture of excellence.
Yes. So a brief overview of Bill Walsh's and his impact on leadership and performance. Bill Walsh, incredible coach. Incredible because of he truly changed a culture and a team and an organization that they didn't have a winning culture, but he created this culture of excellence, and it's been a standard ever since, and something that a lot of organizations really can look for. And using these 6 guidelines can really help a lot of organizations around the world uh, become better. So the topic today, as Tanner told us, culture of excellence, accountability. Ooh, the word accountability. Yes. Not a word sometimes associated with good things, but it's a necessity for leaders. Being accountable, being having ownership of what we do, who we are. It's important. It's important not only in a business sense, in a professional sense, but also if we look at it, it's really important in our personal lives. Are we accountable for our actions? Do we own everything we do? Because I don't know about you, Tanner. I know we've had this conversation before. Uh, for me, I don't come from the train of thought that people are different. You have 2 different lifestyles, your professional life and your personal life. For me, that's not real. You are who you are. You can fake it at times in different parts of your life, whether it's, when you just start a job or when you are, trying to date someone, you can fake parts of who you are, but eventually you are who you are.
Yep.
So you're not 2 different people. And if you carry yourself the right way, if you are accountable to you, everybody wins. And the reason why I'm saying that is we forget at times that the first person you need to look at when you speak on ownership and accountability is one, yourself. Look at yourself first. Where's my piece in this action, in this transaction? Where, if this went wrong, where's my piece in it? Because if you were part of it, you can't say, oh, no, it was that person. No. You also, if you're intuitive, you also knew that was coming, or you also knew what the outcome was going to be. So you're playing a part in that.
Yep.
How do you feel about accountability and ownership?
Well, accountability is a big word, right?
Yes.
Accountability is a very, very big word. And how do I feel about it? I feel great about accountability. And as you mentioned, is it always easy? No. I've had to be accountable to very divisive and negative things in my life when I was a weaker leader. But it created in me a stronger focus on accountability. and how I will be accountable for all of my actions. I've had a saying for a long time that all bills come due.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
No matter what, all bills come due. So you can't hide things underneath the rug.
yep.
You have to own it. And there's a famous saying, quote by Mark Twain: if you tell the truth, you never have to remember what you said.
Oh, that's my life motto. The
Right?
one thing, people that know me very well, not everyone, but people know me very well. I am a man of my words because of my upbringing and
Mm-hmm.
because I don't lie. Don't ask me to lie. I am not going to lie for you. And I will never, ever twist anybody's words. I am going to say the truth.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of issues in my life because of that. Because you are put in positions, especially when you're in leadership positions or executive positions, where you're being asked to not say the truth. And I'm sorry, I'm not lying for anybody.
Same.
Not me.
I'm not gonna lie for anyone. I will now if there's information that I'm not at liberty to talk about, I will
That's
say
different.
that.
Yeah, that's
Well,
different.
I'll say that. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie about things. There are pieces of the business that I'm in where I can't divulge all the information right away.
Mhm.
But other than that, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a very transparent person. I'm an honest person. I'm accountable to my words and I'm accountable to my actions. And having made mistakes many times early on in my life, I know how uncomfortable being accountable to bad decisions or wearing that mask or not telling the truth has been. And I don't ever want to be in those conversations. Right? I'll be accountable for honest mistakes, but I don't ever want to find myself in a position where I have to be accountable for things that I was trying to hide.
Yeah. Oh, that without a doubt. I don't. I have so much going on in my life. I love reading. I'm a researcher at heart. I'm a maverick. We both are.
Yep.
Innovators trying to do things different on purpose. Uh, the last thing I need to worry about is, oh my God, what lie did I tell you the other day? So
Yeah.
that, I mean, there's no way possible.
Yeah.
There's,
Until you tell the truth, you have to
yeah,
continue to lie, right?
yeah.
Like who wants to live in that? Like I got enough going on. I don't need to remember those types of things, right? Tell the truth. You never have to remember what you said.
Oh, without a doubt. In going and looking at this and really looking at um, the words that Bill Walsh used in the culture of excellence and being accountable, what approaches can leaders take to align their team's understanding of accountability with the organization's goals, especially when facing resistance to high standards?
Hmm.
I mean, this is a loaded question, but I know something that we've experienced.
Yeah, first I will say, going back to the word excellence, a culture of excellence. I think it's important to state that excellence is earned, not given.
Yes, absolutely. That's not a
Excellence is
title you
earned.
get. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody starts out being excellent at something, right? You have to earn it. And some people earn it faster. Some people learn it faster. Some people have skills and abilities that position them to be excellent at something faster than others would be. But nobody starts out excellent. I would say when you're facing resistance to high standards, first I would look at what is the messaging around what those standards are. Because if we're talking about leaders, right? We're talking about teams, um, people who want to be excellent, people who want to achieve high standards. They should be in the roles that give them the avenues to meet those high standards,
Yes.
right? And if they're resistant to those high standards, why? I think that's the deeper question. Why are you resisting what we're trying to achieve, what the standards are that we're trying to achieve? Are you not in the right position? You know, are my words or is my message and mission not coming through clear enough? Do you not respect me that you wouldn't want to meet the standards that we're all trying to achieve? So I think a lot of that goes into it, and the approach that a leader can take to align a team's standards, and their understanding of accountability, um, it, it goes into emotional intelligence and understanding your team. Right? Do you understand all the players on your team and how they relate to certain things? Do you understand how they receive messages? Do you understand how they like to be recognized?
Yep.
Do you understand what their personal definition of a high standard is? Their personal definition of what excellence is, and their personal path that they're trying to grow on. I think all of those things have to be taken into account.
Yes. So when you were speaking earlier in the conversation about, what is it that are, your teams are struggling with as far as the high standard piece. One of the things that comes to mind, and this is a conversation I'm very intentful in having this conversation when we're teaching our cultural orientation programs, is the fact that people go through life and don't take the time to really uh, notate what their values are. What do you stand
Mm,
for? And it is hard when you don't really, we all have values. We all have a certain upbringing, certain, I would say, standards. Um, but if we don't take the time to notate them, really be intentful, put it in writing, where it's a piece of paper, a board, or on your computer, on your smart device, but really look at yourself. Take the time. What is important to you? What are your
mhm,
values? Okay. Once you come into agreement of that these are my values, you know read them every day, learn them, understand them. Then the next time you go look for employment, go look before you apply. Do some research. Look at the organization. Look at their values.
mhm,
Now, there's some organizations that don't have any values. That tells you a lot about that organization.
mhm.
Okay. Now you have a set of values, and you see there's an organization with no values. What do you think is going to happen? That's the first thing. Second, if you doing your research do find an organization that has values, look at those values. Look at your values. They don't
Do they align?
Yeah, they don't have to align 100% word for word, but you can find commonalities and similar words that would give you some peace of mind, some comfort that, okay, we're on the right path here. If you don't do that research, that legwork up front,
Mhm.
I'm, there is a huge disconnect once you get to that organization, because if there's value stated at some point, most of organizations are going to be telling you, hey, these are our values. This is what we expect from you. And if the
Yeah.
first time you're reading them is during an orientation program or something like that, I mean, wow, that's all I'm going to say there.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about setting yourself up for failure. And those are the things that I struggle um with I would say with people in leadership position, or people in that are experienced, that are in the workforce and they're looking for a new role, is how do you not do that first
Right.
before you actually do anything else? Because if you're not doing that, oh man, you're in for a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of evidence now that values-based organizations outperform product-based organizations hand over fist,
Every
over
day,
over
all day,
over
all
and
day
over
long.
and over again, right? Because people relate to values,
Yes.
right? Do you align with my values?
Hmm.
And so, I think you make such a good point. If you're not researching the values of the company that you want to work for, how can you expect to find that alignment? And you know, shame on you if you're unhappy once you get in there because you didn't do your legwork. One of the questions that I love to ask it when I'm interviewing companies is what do you love about working here, right? And what is one, if you could change one thing, what would it be? Because if people are truly honest with you, you will find out real fast whether their values match up with what they say and what they do in that one question,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that's one thing that's really important, and that I try when I mentor um young leaders. Is That's one thing that I'm very intentful in, making sure we do that leg work up front, and let's get to know you.
Yeah.
You you got to get to know you. What makes you go, and how do we get you to a place where you understand what your values are? If you don't understand what your values are, it's going to be very hard for you to find the right organization where you belong.
And if you're a young leader and you don't truly know what your values are, I'm willing to bet that if you're listening to this podcast, and you're listening to our podcast that we do regularly, you probably have at least a broad understanding of what you believe your values to be. But if you're really struggling to hone down in it, we talked about it on the last episode that we did. There's lots of self-assessment tools out there
Yes.
that you can use to truly figure out, okay, what are my core values? What are my top three, right? And how do I live them in my regular life, and how do I want them to manifest in the companies that I work for?
Yep. Yep. Funny story. I got to put it out there.
Yeah.
When we're talking about this, so I'm mentoring one of my nephews, and he young professional, great kid. Very sharp. Raised properly, great values. I know he has them. But again, similar thing. He like calls me. He's like, "Oh man, like I want to. I feel stuck where I am. I want to be able to work somewhere where I'm truly going to feel valued, and have a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, okay, okay. It's like, can you help me? I'm like, absolutely, of course I can. Um, yeah, because I want to get a new position in certain amount of time, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to help you find a position. Number
Right.
one, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start some work on you. You get to know you, and once you know you and what you're looking for in writing, where we can both read it, then we'll start looking for organizations that match that what you're looking for. That's the
Yep.
only way you're going to find type of work, type of organization that is going to align with your values, but also that's going to be purposeful.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to go through life like most people do, just going from organization to organization until they find the right leaders that are going to invest them in them, and the right organizations that has the right culture. But if you don't do the right homework up front, then it's a hard road, because you're not more, I would say the odds are not in your favor to find what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, you're going to be a nomad for a long time,
Hmm.
right? You're just going to, like you said, you're going to be searching and searching and searching. And you'll constantly question, how come, I'm not finding happiness in the work that I'm doing? Well, you don't truly understand who you are and what work sets your soul on fire. Like we get one life, and it is a short life,
Yep.
it is too short to not be doing things that truly set you on fire, that truly set your soul on fire. And I mean, you hit it right on the head. We find that the workforce now wants to have a purpose.
Yes.
It's not just about being a cog in a machine.
Yep.
It's not just about working, inside a box, twisting rivets. It's what am I doing and how does it have a greater purpose for the world? And let's be honest, if that's not what your motivating factor is, that you want to have a purpose, you need to reevaluate.
Oh.
Right. If it's ego driven,
yes.
and I'm just, I'm just trying to climb a ladder and get more money. Don't get me wrong. Money is important, right? But money is not what will make you feel valued in the work that you do.
Nope. And
it's
the worst decisions I've made in my life is taking positions because of money.
Right. And it's why we've seen, like the mass exodus from really high profile jobs. I mean, there's being in the culinary industry, we hear about it all the time of, the Wall Street broker who was making, $1.3 million a year on Wall Street, but he was working 80 hours a week and it was a toxic culture, and he quits and goes and starts his like organic kombucha farm, or goes and starts doing, making candles or, making salamis. It's because they're finding a purpose in what they're doing, and they take a significant pay cut. I mean, I read a story, it was a couple of years ago now, about a Wall Street stockbroker who was making like, I believe somewhere in the range of $600,000 to $750,000 a year, and just miserable in life. Just miserable. He hated everything about what he was doing, and he quit and went and started making artisan salami and makes like $60,000 a year, right? A significant pay cut, but wouldn't have changed that decision for anything in the world, because now he's truly happy at what he's doing, right? He has a passion and a purpose. You can't negate those things. I mean, they're the most important things in what we do.
Oh man, that's very true. Very true. So young leaders, take note. You want to find where you need to be. You got to work on yourself first. Then you'll find, and then do the research of these organizations.
Yeah, make sure you really love what you do. I mean, so being a chef for most of my life, I've had there's been a huge just growth in attention to culinary, right? Like,
yes,
all the different TV shows and all these different restaurants and all these different personalities and celebrities and things like that. And so, when I get into initial conversations with people, they say, "Oh, you're a chef. I know so and so who's been thinking about going to culinary school. Should they do it?" Or, "My kid, it really loves to cook. They want to go to culinary school. Should they do it?" And my response every single time is, before you spend $30,000 a year on a culinary school, go have them get a job at a restaurant.
Yep.
Go get a job as a dishwasher. Go get a job as a prep cook. Go get a job as a busser, and make sure you truly love that culture before you go do that. Because if you do not love it in the culinary industry, it's a grind.
Yeah,
it's incredibly difficult.
I understand that you're going to work every single holiday. You're going to work most nights. I mean, it's not the lifestyle. It's not what people think. And this is where, if you don't do the research, I'm sorry, it's not real.
You and I have worked for a number of years in the healthcare field, right? And I'll never forget, like, running large hospitals. I always struggled with the nurses that hated their jobs. Right? Like grumpy, angry nurses. Like, why are you you knew
I mean,
what it was before
you
you got
went to
in. Like,
school, you
you
went and
went to
got a
school for
license.
it. And if it was just for the dollar amount, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You know, if you truly don't love taking care of people and helping people and being a part of their healing journey, and knowing that at times it's going to be long hours and you're going to lose people and it's tough, you know, and that's going to affect your attitude and you're going to be grumpy, miserable Nurse Ratchet.
Yeah.
You're completely in the wrong field. Go do something else.
Yeah, that you're going to work every other weekend, that you're going to work holidays. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
hard for the course. It's just a reality. So this still baffles me. When you have people that, you know, there's holidays upcoming and everybody wants to be off. No, you know,
Somebody's got to work it, right?
yeah,
Like,
you know, we have a rotating schedule. You got to work a couple holidays. You're going to be off a couple of holidays. That's just the way it is.
yeah.
What are we talking about?
Right. Hey, wait a second. Are you new here? Did you not understand what the requirements of this were?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. All right, let's get into our rapid fire words. So I I decided to put in a couple of types of, I wouldn't say types of leadership. I would say description. Well, yes, transformational leadership. It is a type of leadership, but educative leadership is it's a little bit different. It's so I some of the things that can help um, align team's understanding of accountability with the organizational goals. Um, I listed 6 here that we can go through.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? It doesn't have to go in that order, Tanner.
No, I think let's start at the top.
All right.
Let's start at educative leadership because you know, you and I are both educators at heart.
Oh man,
Right.
absolutely,
We're
absolutely.
mentors and we're coaches. And you know, I'm it's why we do podcasts like this, right?
Yes.
It's why we're passionate about the NPN Hub, the Neuroplasticians Network. You
Yep.
know, that there's an education piece that rewires your brain, that helps you learn and grow and become better.
Preach
You
it.
know, yeah, and the greatest impact that we can have is not on the work that we do, it's on the leaders that we train. It's the leaders that we grow. You've heard me say it a million times now. I never want to cage my birds.
Nope.
I want the people that I'm in charge, that I have the great honor of being in charge of, to grow as much as possible, and that they can fly as free and as far as their imaginations can take them. Right? Educational leadership is it's so fulfilling and rewarding. And when we talk about a culture of excellence, you know, when you have leaders that you were in charge of that go on to do great things, it continues to foster that excellence. It continues to let you know that you are a part of something way bigger than yourself.
How cool is that?
It's the coolest. I mean, I don't need trophies or plaques on
Nope.
walls or anything like that. Anything.
Nope.
The impact, my legacy, the impact that I leave on this world, I want it to be people.
100%. And that's the purpose why I put an educative leadership there, because that's what we do. That's who we are. It's about offering the training and development opportunities that are going to help our people understand the importance of the standards, those high
Yeah.
standards, and how their roles contribute to the ultimate organizational goals, you know, or how are we fueling that vision? You know, the vision is usually set in the future. How are we
Yeah.
fueling that if we are truly not investing and educating our teams?
Right. And I mean, it has such an incredible ripple effect too. You know, when you spend time to this, when you spend the time and the attention to teach and mentor someone, and they grow and they blossom and they flourish from that, guess what they do? They go and teach others.
There you go. You have the ripple effect. So
Yep.
now it's like, okay, it's a multiplier, force
Yep.
multipliers. And then they go and teach a couple more. Then they go teach another 4, 6, 8.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, wow, That is legacy.
That's legacy. Yeah. That's generational legacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The next one, oh, you can put this word right next to my name. Transformational leadership.
Yeah. So
Oh,
take it. What does transformational leadership mean to you?
uh, for me is being intentful and inspiring and motivating your teams to achieve something higher than they could not on their own.
Yeah.
How do you inspire someone to see a bigger goal that they could ever imagine, that they can get to do something that for them would be impossible to dream of?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what transformational is for me. And that is a big piece of my Crave leadership model. How are we transforming the workplace to make leaders that are really going to be impactful and
And how are
create
we
other leaders?
transforming ourselves? Right? I mean,
Absolutely.
how many times in your career have you gone through the process of working to help transform a leader and find the transformation in yourself?
Man, you
Right?
learn so much every single time.
Every
Every
single
single
time
time. It's not
you learn.
once,
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. You learn so much more about yourself, right? You learn so much more about people's learning styles,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, again, I'm gonna plug the NPN, the Neuroplasticians Network, right? But when we talk about neuroplasticity, that is truly transforming your brain,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like we know that we can transform the neural pathways in our brain,
Yes.
that we can learn new things, and we can break old habits, and we can transform who we are. And when we show up with that, and we're helping to lead in a transformational way,
What are we
crazy,
talking about?
crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
So the next one, I know you're gonna have a lot to say. Psychological contracts. So I'll let you go. I'll let you go first there.
Yeah, psychological contracts are incredibly important. And what realm of psychology are we using? For most of the environments that we came up in, it was negative psychology. It was
Very
guilt
true.
based. It was
Mhm.
guilt based. It was driven with unreasonable expectations. It was not performance based. It was unreasonable expectations based. The the example that I like to use the most in this was the idea that working 12 hours or 14 hours in a day was a badge of honor,
Oh man.
right? And
Yeah.
that negative psychological contract that comes
Mhm.
with that idea that that I have to be in the building by 7 a.m. and I'm not allowed to leave until 9 p.m. at night. And I'm going to be the last one out, because that means that I'm working so much harder than everyone else. That's not healthy. Those
At all.
psychological contracts, and those psychological contracts, we talk about transformational leadership, they take time to break,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. And I was listening to a great conversation with Simon Sinek the other day. And he said one of the most toxic phrases that we use in culture, and in today's language, is work hard, play hard. And I've said that so many times in my life. I work hard and I
Same
play
here.
hard,
Yeah.
right? And the idea behind it is that, again, that negative psychological contract, that I work all of these hours, and I spend all of my time at work, and I don't have time for relaxation, or take the edge off a little bit at the end of the night, or read a book, or spend time with my family, or go to the gym, or all these things, that then I have to cram it all in on the time off that I have. And so I develop unhealthy habits on the time off. I'm still not using my time effectively. I'm probably still not spending time with the people that I'm supposed to effectively. And what he said is that there's a much better phrase that we should adopt, and it is work smart, play always.
Oh, play always. Absolutely.
Play
Play always.
always. Play always. Have fun in everything that you do. Bring fun into the work culture that you have.
Yep.
And this is where I think one of the most dynamic shifts that we've seen in companies is where they start to embrace the positive psychology aspect and those positive psychology contracts. And what I mean by positive psychology is that we create an environment of fun. We create an environment of your voice matters, and we want to hear what your opinions are. We create an environment of working smarter, not harder. That yes, the expectation may be that as a salaried manager position that you work 50 hours a week. But if you get all of your work done in 35 hours, there's nothing punitive that's going to happen. And it doesn't mean I'm going to overload you with more work. It means that you have obviously found an effective way to get what you need done in a time frame that allows you to then play always, to have that freedom to spend time with your family, to have healthy habits like going to the gym or whatever it is, that are your positive releases. Right. So psychological contracts are huge, and in a culture of excellence, I mean, the way you pour into your teams, the way you pour into yourself creates that positive work environment.
So we can end the podcast now. Mic drop. There's no way possible to follow that up. Oh, wow. So much. Psychological contracts. So the fun piece, I want to touch upon that first. This is something that it's, I guess, a taboo in the workplace. Everywhere I've been associated with, we play.
Yeah.
And we play always, not once or twice. We play always. Sometimes at the detriment that people will look at us like, why are you guys so goofy? Or, and they get bothered because we're having fun. Yes. And yes, that's what you're supposed to do in the workplace. Work is supposed to be fun. Is it serious? Absolutely. Does it mean that we don't care? Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. Research has shown that people, when they're in that fun stage, when that oxytocin is, taking over, you are firing at all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you are having to work in a work environment where it's always stressful, always under pressure, there is no way possible that you can think creatively. You definitely are not being able to uh, get to those higher levels of productivity because you're all constantly worrying whether you're doing the right thing or not, whether you're going to get screamed at, and then all these other factors. And then our minds are our worst enemies at times. They're going to get the best of us because it's just pressure, pressure. The cortisol is taking over. So
Yep.
we gotta get that away from our workplace, man. Come on, let's just let's have some fun at work.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. Even those of us that work in healthcare, where we're taking care of people's lives, you don't want it to be such a pressure packed situation where we're gonna make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, yeah, you're hurting someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second piece to that, when you mentioned, that badge of honor of, you gotta work hard, so you're the hardest worker, and I use that saying all the time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll use this saying. I don't use that specific saying. that there's not one person in this world that can outwork me.
Mm.
And
Oh,
while that is true. What I need to be very clear in saying that it's because I work smart and hard,
and that's different.
and that's different. So I have to change how I say that, so that perception is not that, that I'm going to work 25 hours in a 24-hour day.
Yeah.
That means that I use all my God-given talents and then some to be able to use all my brain power to get the work done the most efficient way possible.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that when you say nobody can outwork me, right? The I think the meaning behind that also is that nobody works quite like you,
Yes.
right? Because we're all built different,
Yeah, words
you know.
matter. Words matter. So I have to
Words
change.
matter.
Yeah, I have to
Words
use
matter,
the right
right?
words.
Yeah, and words matter. Words matter to how you're relating them to yourself too. You know, my
Yes.
my 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 dad used to always say that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And so I grew up hearing that statement and thinking to myself, "Gosh, I love what I do, but it's hard work." And what I
Mhm.
realized the distinction is, it's not that you never work a day in your life; it's that you love working, right? Like the work that you do brings you joy,
Yes.
right? So if you love what you do, you still work every day of your life, but you enjoy it, and it resonates completely different.
Absolutely. Oh wow, man! This for the right there. Let's do one more because we're just about hitting an hour as well. All right, which one you wanna touch upon?
Well, you've got I'd say either procedural fairness or change management.
um, Change management. Everybody speaks on that. Let's go to procedural fairness. Let's be different.
Okay. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Uh,
So go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I because
So
I just spoke.
when I think about procedural fairness, what I think about is, are we recognizing that each task requires a different level of understanding, right? So are we being fair to the procedure at hand? Not that all things follow on this linear pattern of needing to be fair,
Yes.
right? But the things that the procedures that you're working on, some may require a different level of attention, and offering that fairness to that procedure and the people involved in it creates that culture of excellence, right? That the work that is very hands-on,
Mm-hmm.
that you're providing the resources to that you're being fair to those that have to be hands-on with that work,
Okay.
the work, the procedures that require a different level of acumen and maybe it's administrative or clerical needs,
Okay.
right? That you're providing the fair tools to get those things done. Are you looking at what the innovative patterns are to create fairness for that procedure? So when I think of procedural fairness, what I'm thinking is that each procedure requires the fairness of, I'm going to approach it in what is going to be most efficient and innovative for that task and that procedure, as opposed to saying, well, each procedure gets 5 people, and those 5 people each get 10 hours a day to work on it, and and X, Y, and Z, just checking off boxes, because that doesn't create excellence.
Wow. You said a lot there. So yeah, I want to touch upon a couple of things. Um, and you're so spot on what you said. So measuring the accountability piece, and making sure that it is transparent and fair with how we give our people the tools that they need, right? So
Yep.
if we have let's say 10 receptionists and we train each one differently and give each one a different set of tools, that's not procedural fairness. Now, if we go and create an onboarding program where each one of them has to go through the onboarding program and then pick up their tools afterwards, then we're creating that procedural fairness.
Hmm.
And this is where us as leaders need to be mindful of our people. When we lead teams, whether it's 5 people or 500 people, we want to make sure that one, we have an onboarding program that everyone has to go through.
Hmm.
Okay. Second, we want to have regular check ins with them where we get their feedback and we give them um that feedback of, hey, you're doing good in this areas, these areas not so good, this is how I can support you, what are your thoughts? Then you're evening the playing field for everyone because you are having the right process.
Hmm.
And we don't do that. A lot of
No.
organizations don't do that. So I mean that's where my mind goes when we talk about procedural fairness is taking the time to create those regular check-ins, um, that consistent feedback, constructive feedback, um, and that we are training them appropriately every single
Hmm.
time. It's not just a certain group of people. Everyone gets trained uh, w- through the same process. Now, some people will need to get retrained because not everyone learns the same way. So you also have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
But procedural fairness is key to having a successful team. All
Yeah, I
right,
agree with that.
so let's do a little recap here. Final words, because I have a few things that I want to share with everyone.
Yeah, so my final words are just going to go back to the beginning. When we're talking about a culture of excellence, it's important to recognize that excellence is earned, it's not given. And everybody has an opportunity to be excellent, but you got to work for it. And You shared a video with me months and months ago that was Steve Harvey speaking,
Oh man,
and and he was talking about ordinary versus extraordinary.
yes,
And one thing that really resonated with me in what Steve Harvey was saying is that it's okay to be ordinary. That there are plenty of really, really
millions of people.
wonderful of ordinary people out there.
Yep.
But if you want to be extraordinary, if you truly want to be extraordinary, you're going to have to put in the work,
Yep.
and it's going to take rising above that ordinary. It's going to take that extra to be extraordinary. And if that's not you, that's fine,
Yeah, there's okay.
right?
There's
It's
nothing
it's
wrong with
okay.
that. There's
It's
nothing
okay.
wrong.
But if you want to be excellent, you have to work on it. You have to continue to work on it and work on it and work on it. If you want to be extraordinary, you have to put in the extra to be extraordinary.
Woo. So TT always kind of brings it. So just to that point, I love that video. It's one of my favorite videos. I watch it.
Yeah,
I have it saved on my phone. I watch it all the time, just as a reminder that it is okay to be ordinary. There's nothing wrong with that. There's
nothing
nothing
wrong with
wrong with
it.
that. Nothing wrong with that word, because not everyone wants to go above and beyond, and that is cool. That is so cool. But you cannot say that you want to be great at something or excellent at something if you don't want to put in the work.
Right.
You just can't. There's no other way. You have to put in the work, the sweat and tears, to get to that level. Uh, this this whole series has been amazing. Uh, Tanner, you've been amazing as always. Bringing in a lot of tips and stories for our audience to be able to use. So leaders, just keep on listening. I can tell you as we end this series, we're going to go back to uh, what I mentioned before we did an impromptu Bill Walsh 6 guiding principles to excellence. Uh, we're going to go back to emotional health. So
Yes.
that's the next series upcoming. I promise I won't do an impromptu and bring anything else on. But we are going to do a 3-part series on emotional health, uh, something that we all need as a society. It is so important. And I know we both have a lot to say on this piece, emotional health. It's going to be a wonderful 3-part series. So tune in for that. And we're checking out. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, everyone.